Righty, we're gonna get into this stream here. You guys have been waiting a little while for the next portion of the Yusuke program for the Dark Tournament, where we make it together. We did that for the last three. We had the handstand and pressing workout, the climbing and grip workout, and then the leg training. And today we're going to tackle, I think, the conditioning workout. And then the last thing that we're going to do is get into the combat training in the next time. And then that should be also the same one that we talk about, like how you would program this entire thing all together. And then, eventually we'll actually just do the video for this as a whole thing. And then I'll get to be able to share that you guys helped make it. But for now, we're just going to make one. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go in here and new Google Doc. Well, I should probably open it up in the, do I need, yeah? Yeah. Brand new brand new Google Doc. And then we'll say Yusuke's, Yusuke conditioning workout. Cool. All right, and I'm going to get, I don't know why my internet is stuttering a lot. Give me just a second. Let me see what I can do. Do. It's odd because OBS says the stream is fine, but YouTube Studio is being odd. So I'm not sure what I should do. It says the stream is healthy now, but now it's not. Can you guys hear me? Is it still stuttering? Let's see. I'll type it out here. Is it still stuttering? Because it definitely says that the stream health is okay on OBS. Super blurry. That's very strange. I don't know what would cause that. Because I'm not blurry when I look at it. Because what's interesting is I'm not blurry when I see it on OBS, and I'm not blurry when I see it through YouTube Studio. So I don't know why that would be that way for you, especially now that it says the stream has good connection and doesn't have any issues. So I don't know. Maybe it's good now. Also, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Let's see. Hello. What's up? Yeah, which is why I don't understand because it's not on YouTube Studio. Okay, is it better now? Okay, all right. Bye bye. Ha! Yeah, that might have been Duffy's fault. So it's not me at all, but instead it's probably Duffy's connection. So but I am gonna share this with Twitter so that people know that we are streaming. So gonna open this up here real quick. And get this thing We are making part 4 of Yusuke's Dark Tournament program, well, training program. All right, and then I will leave the link. Copy and paste. Tweet. Cool. All right, so maybe we'll get some people in here and we'll see how that's going. Cool. Alrighty. Cool. All right, so you guys are in here. There looks like we've got 3 people in here currently. So let's see. We've got the conditioning workouts. Conditioning workout. And if we look in comparison to the other workouts that we have here, we've got the leg training, handstand and pressing, and the climbing and grip. So the handstand and pressing one looks way longer than it actually is. It's just got the progressions into it. And then we've got the Yusuke, the climbing and grip workout and the leg training. Each of these sections is broken into an activation section, which is helping to activate the muscle groups necessary for whatever it is we're training. Then a strength section, and then an endurance section. However, this is a conditioning workout, so it will probably be set up slightly different. So if we were thinking about it in those terms, trying to stay with about the same kind of format, we would probably have a dynamic warm-up, and then we would have something along the lines of a conditioning, like a main conditioning section, and then a low intensity cardio section, something like that. Now, mind you, this is just me kind of like going off the top of my head right now. That's not how it has to be. Typically, when I'm building a program, I'll start in a certain fashion, and it will not necessarily always end up in the way that I initially intended it to, because I may put some additional thought into it, and it may transform in that process. Hello, Mattis. Good to see you. We are building a Yusuke conditioning workout for the Dark Tournament. And when we build real anime training workouts, we want to think about what we've seen the character do on screen, and then not necessarily just in training, but what we've seen them do physically during their fights or during any sort of like thing that might be a feat. And then we would extrapolate from that what kind of training would produce the feat that we saw. Obviously, some of those things are going to be a little bit absurd because it is an anime, but that doesn't mean that we can't think about it in terms of what real kind of training would produce an increase in strength, or an increase in endurance, or an increase in power, or jumping ability, or anything like that. So, hey, Matt. I will call you Matt then. So, if you guys have any thoughts about this program as the workout as I'm building it, please feel free to throw your thoughts in. And just as a refresher, you can take a look at the previous workouts so you can see what we've already got. So I'll leave this here for just a moment. We got the activation section with the 25 mountain climbers, 20 steps farmer's carry with some weight, 10 scapular pull-ups, and 5 reps light grippers. And then it moves into heavy pull-ups, so it's weighted pull-ups, inverted rows, or single arm inverted rows, or single arm dumbbell bent over row. And then we've got towel pull-ups, heavy grippers, so a lot of heavier strength production and grip things. and then an endurance section that has a lot of pull-ups and or climbing, and some an ab section that is also very grip intensive. And then we've got this section here for the Yusuke's handstand and pressing workout. The activation section is plank, scapular push-up, Spider-Man push-ups to kind of get everything moving. And then the overhead press is, we've got right here, we're going to be working in some heavier stuff. And as you end up getting more comfortable with it, you move into various handstand push-ups. And then we've got some individual handstand work, moving from supported to unsupported, push-ups, moving from a normal push-up to a one-arm push-up with a tempo or some added weight or something like that. Then clapping push-ups for power to end it out. And then we've got some core work, planks, dragon flag, twist, back, and then an endurance section. It's a lot of movement-based things: bear crawls, crab walk, dragon crawl, and handstand walking. So a lot of movement-based things in that. And then the leg section, we've got, got it. When you say you got to have handstands for the famous one finger with the spirit gun scene, yeah, that's actually already sort of here. We've got handstand work in the actual handstand and pressing workout. So this workout that we're working in today is a conditioning workout. And so we're going to be thinking about the kinds of training that will be necessary to produce a high level of conditioning for combat, and also running. And then we see later on, we see him cycling very, very quickly after this is after the Dark Tournament. After he's riding a bike to chase down a truck that's driving away. So trying to think about the kind of training that would produce a high level of conditioning necessary for the things that we've seen Yusuke do. In the leg training section, we've got an activation section that's jumping jacks, glute bridges, bodyweight squat, lying, side leg raise, and then strength section is weighted squats, lunges, lateral lunge, high jump squat for power, broad jump squat for power, skaters for the ability to laterally shift your weight and be, what's the word I'm looking for? Agile. And then we've got the endurance section, which is some stairs that is just sort of like moving through easier to a harder pace. It's pretty short, less than 10 minutes. And then we've got some sled drags and some horse stance training, which seems fitting for the kind of person that Genkai was and the way that she would train Yusuke. So we move into the actual conditioning workout now. Having looked back at the 3 previous workouts that we built, what do we do? So for a dynamic warm-up, we want to think about, since this is going to be a conditioning workout, it's probably going to be a whole body conditioning workout, so we want to make sure that whatever dynamic warm-up we do is a full body dynamic warm-up. So with a full body dynamic warm-up, you want to make sure that you're operating in all 3 planes of movement. You want to make sure that you're doing large like multi-joint movements, and you want to make sure that you are doing things that are going to get tissues more pliable for activity. So if you guys have anything that you'd like to throw in here at any point, please let me know, and I will take that under consideration in the actual building of the program. Oh, we've got 8 people in here. Fantastic. Go ahead and throw a like on the video for me if you guys would. Thanks for being in here, and comment as much as you'd like, because, you know, the YouTube algorithm monster likes when people comment and engage. So if you have anything, you know, just to say hi, or if you have any suggestions for things, go for it, so that we can get this thing sort of moving along. Cool. Well, in a dynamic warm-up, since it's going to be a full body thing, we're going to be focusing on some things. Let's start with throw some things out here. We may delete some of them as we go. Jumping jacks, walk out to push up. We'll say Cossack squat. Let's see. Something that's going to be twisty, perhaps. We'll do joint rotations. Since get everything nice and loose in that way, so it'll be from ankles all the way up, ankles all the way up to wrists. So everything, and if you're familiar with the real anime training warm-up, the joint rotations are in that. So yeah, so sand therapy for finger strength. That may be something that we throw in this one or the combat workout. I'm not sure which one we're going to do yet. Since the conditioning workout is going to be a lot more geared toward cardiorespiratory fitness and performance rather than conditioning in the sense of like toughness, if that makes any sense. So let's see here, and let's do joint rotations first. Cool. And we'll do some. Well, there we go. We'll do skipping and lunge to rotation. So we'll do 10 joint rotations on each side. We'll do 10 jumping jacks. Do 10 walk out to push up. 10 Cossack squats each. We'll do 15 seconds of skipping, and then 10 lunge to rotation each. So that way we're doing a little bit of movement at the beginning. Then we've got kind of a movement from the hip and the shoulders, trying to warm up the body in general without necessarily bending too much at the waist when we're not, or from the hips when we're not completely warm up. Then we're going to hinge from the hip and walk out into a push-up to start warming up the hips and then the muscles of the chest and the shoulders and the triceps. And then we've got the Cossack squat to get a little deeper into the hip mobility and whatnot, and then we've got the lunge to rotation, so that way we're warming up the legs and the spine, and then we've got the skipping, which is the last little bit of let's get our heart rate up, and we're going to go through that for 2 rounds. So let's see here. Maybe as a bonus, yeah, finger push-ups in the fighting part. Well, the fingertip push-ups are actually, yeah, so we've got fingertip work in the handstand and pressing section. We've got it in the plank section. We're holding it all on the fingertips there. So we may do some additional fingertip work here or in the fighting section just to get multiple times per week work into it, so we're not just doing one thing once a week, if that makes sense. So we've got the dynamic warm-up here, and then we're going to move into the actual conditioning portion, and we want to try to focus on full body movements to generate that conditioning, and then things that we can really drive full force on for like high performance kind of stuff. So things like sprinting or multiple jumps or something like that. But we'll kind of make that decision as we go, what we want to do exactly in what order. So let's see here. I'm just going to write some things down that may or may not end up in the final thing. Burpees, alternating, jumping, lunges. Yeah, this is me just kind of going off the cuff at the moment. Clean and press, walking, lunges, and we may delete any number of these things at any point. Sprinting, swimming, and we're going to cut that one out. We'll put that possibly down here. Okay. And so let's take a look here. What else we got for movements? So we've got legs, legs, legs and shoulders, legs and shoulders. Well, it's also sort of back. And then alternating jumping lunges, legs, and legs. So we have the option of just trying to really drive home like some body weight stuff, or maybe working in some more weighted type movements, or we can do a series of shorter conditioning sessions. Like we could do like a 5-minute conditioning section with a recovery period, and then like a 7-minute conditioning section with a recovery period, and then a 9-minute conditioning section with a recovery period, just to kind of not have all of those movements in one single circuit, so that you're not having too much like degradation of form of any of them. So yeah, that's probably a good idea. So we're going to go and say conditioning. I'll just say circuit 1. And then we'll do kind of get everything warmed up here. We'll say 10 alternating jumping lunges each. And then, no, we'll cut that out. We'll go down here with it. So we'll cut that out. So walking, so 10 walking lunges each. Then let's see. Yeah, kind of like a prep conditioning circuit. Yeah, and then we'll do 15. Let's see. Something to be sort of difficult, but not super difficult. Something that he's seen doing. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So we'll get it just kind of like whole body sort of warmed up by revving up the engine here. We'll do 15-second sprint, and then we'll do that for 3 minutes. So, and then we'll say 30-second recovery. So that would put us at, let's say that takes us, we'll go very slow. Somebody's very slow at burpees. We'll call say 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 15 seconds. So minute and 15. That's 2 rounds. We'll call that one 5 minutes then. And then we can there we go. And then we'll rest 2. Now we'll rest 3 minutes. Walk and stretch. We'll just say walk. And then we will move into circuit 2. I can look into doing one on Onizuka. It's, it's just sort of a list of things that I already have, telling people that I'm going to do. But for right now, it would be pretty low on the list because there's a lot of other stuff before that. If you want to be a patron, and at the There is a tier that allows you to be able to request one video a month. So that's definitely something that if you're really keen on that and you want to see that video, that's definitely something that you can do. So let's see, Circuit 2. But yeah, I can definitely put it on the list of things, but it's really far down on the list at this point. Let's see, Circuit 2. Let's do something that kind of maybe builds off that. So we'll do 5 burpee pull-ups. And honestly, this may be one of those things that in the process of me doing it, I'm like, no, I don't like this entire thing. I'm going to scrap it and start over, because that does sometimes happen. And then we've got 10, I'll say dumbbell thrusters for the balance portion of it with the shoulders. And then we'll do, let's see, don't want to necessarily go into the sprint immediately, but we could do a 15. Hey, you let Mario have whatever his own video requests are. Of course, maybe he'll have people do a bidding war for it. But then if you're gonna do a bidding war for it, then you might as well just do your own. Be a patron on your own. Let's see here. We'll start conditioning. So we'll rest 3 minutes, and then circuit 3. Do yeah, we'll do 5 minutes there too. We'll just make it even. And we'll call that 15 jumping jacks. A little bit easier movement there. We'll rest 3 minutes, and then we'll do 5. Let's see, 5 burpee broad jumps, 10 dumbbell clean and press, and 15 push-ups, and then do 30. So we'll say, what would you say is the most effective training routine you created for fat loss? I have tried a lot of your karate shoko shiko hinata minoru training routines since my Kyokushin gym is closed. So for fat loss, it's going to be things that are, a little more high volume, a little more intense, and then making sure that you've got your diet in check, which is the biggest issue for fat loss, to be honest. If your diet's not in check, then that's your number one priority at the moment. Other than that, if you're looking to do things that are a little more martial arts based, Baki's bag work is really nice, because it is a high intensity interval training bag work session. So it's going to get you up into those higher energy zones, which is going to create an oxygen deficiency during the training session, which will then be made up later through increased respiration, which means you'll burn more calories at rest because you're trying to make that up. Your other option is also to do a combination of weight training that's going to put muscle on, and then just have general overall caloric expenditure through whatever skill training that you're doing while watching your diet. And then that's gonna be effective also. But so it's really just a function of how do you want to train, what are you training for, and what's your diet like. Because if you can fix your diet, that's basically all you need for body recomposition. But so if you're doing karate stuff, you want to try to focus on doing all of your strength conditioning work for it, and then also your technique stuff, and then make sure you know how many calories you need based on your height, weight, age, gender, and all that stuff, and how much training you do, and then cut some calories out. Cut 500 calories off the top of whatever that need is for all of that stuff, including your activity, and that's a pound a week. You cut 1,000 calories off it, and that's 2 pounds a week. I wouldn't go any more than that, though, because it is very, when you start cutting off more than that, you start running the risk of doing too much and possibly getting into injury zones. And if you eat below your basal metabolic rate, then you have the potential of lowering your metabolism on like forever, just like on a permanent basis following that. So depending on how much you weigh, safe weight loss is 1 to 2 pounds a week. So that's 500 calories to 1,000 calories deficit per day. And the easiest way to have a caloric deficit is changing your diet. So find a caloric needs calculator, put in all your information, and then go from there. Alternatively, if you would like somebody to do all that crazy jazz for you, we do offer personal training, and you can shoot me a message on Twitter, or you can join the Discord and send me a Discord message and talk to me about it there, and we can always go over what that looks like for you. Ichigo flash step video. You know what? That has sort of been in the back of my mind for a long time, is the Ichigo flash step workout. And I think it's possible with the caveat that you guys need to be aware that it's not actually the flash step. You're not doing shumpo. So just realize that it's going to be a workout to increase your agility. That's all it is. So, yeah. So I may do that. And you're welcome, Panos. I appreciate the question. I'm glad that you love it, Bozu. Thank you for coming in here and checking things out. And if you guys have any thoughts about what I've written so far, please let me know. If you're like, damn, that's a whole lot of burpees, I don't think I want to do that many, then maybe we can change it out for another movement. And I may end up doing that anyway. I just sort of like running with themes, so this is where I am right now. But like I said, this may change. So right now, the total for the conditioning, the warm-up is not going to take too terribly long. 10 minutes at most. And then you've got the conditioning section, so we got 15 minutes rest period. That puts us at 18 minutes. And then we've got a second section at 5 minutes that puts us at 23 minutes. And then we've got 26 minutes for that next rest period. And if this one's 5 minutes, then we're just a little over half an hour at this point, which is a good stopping point for the main conditioning section of the workout, because if we want to do a low intensity cardio section to follow, then that's going to have to be for a longer duration since it's low intensity. Yeah, so that's definitely something that we can look at later, Panos. Oh, excuse me, Savage. So let's see here. What's the last thing I want to put in this circuit number 3? And do I want to include something over here? Let's say no. That's good, because this is a higher intensity thing. then we've got a rest period, and then we've got some continuous effort here that's still sort of high intensity, but it's not an all-out sprint. And then we've got a rest period, and then we can come back to some higher intensity stuff, and then end it up with a 30. So we'll say 30-second. We'll say high intensity run. We'll say 30-second sprint. It's not technically a sprint, but I'm going to call it a sprint. Humans technically you can't technically sprint longer than about 15 seconds because that's the maximum amount of time that energy system works. So anything longer than 30 seconds is more of just like a really fast run. Because when we talk about sprint versus run versus jogging, I want you guys to think more about what energy system is being used rather than like how fast you want to accomplish whatever it is, if that makes sense. So you can't sprint a mile. You just can't, because you would have to be able to complete a mile in 10 to 15 seconds, which is impossible. And so whenever you hear somebody go, I sprinted, the whole way, and it's like they're talking about running a 5K, you're like, no, you definitely did not sprint the whole way. My favorite realistic martial arts manga. Okay, so I have to kind of say, because you have to clarify what you mean by that, because Ippo is my favorite manga, period. So that one, if you're saying, because it's obviously a martial arts manga because it's a boxing manga, and it's one of the most realistic mangas as far as like sports and martial arts is concerned, period, in my opinion. Apart from that, I think, what's it called? Kenji? Pretty sure it's Kenji. Let me look. Kenji. Oops. You know what? I don't know. Kenji manga. Yeah, Kenji. Kenji's also not bad. So when you have, if you've ever read Kenji, it's a guy who's taught kung fu by his grandfather, and then he sort of goes and learns other martial arts from other people while still keeping a Chinese kung fu base. But he kind of like learns some principles from Shotokan and learns some principles from boxing that are kind of similar, and sort of like shores up his Chinese kung fu. But he stays with that as his primary form of art. So it's not like he becomes a mixed martial artist of any sort. It's that he just sort of like uses the ideas from the other martial arts to reinforce the principles that are already in his kung fu. So does that make sense? Yeah. So if I had to, the answer is probably Ippo. I just dropped my phone on the floor. The answer is probably Ippo because it's Ippo. It's a martial arts manga, and it's probably the most realistic sports manga that there is. I mean, even though Kohinata is that whole like karate shokoshi Kohinata minor, which it's so long. That is very realistic also, but I feel like it's a little less realistic than Ippo, and I can't put my finger on why at the moment, but it just feels that way. So we've got a 30-second sprint to end us out there, and we'll put a 30-second walking recovery. Walking recovery between that. So that puts us at a minute, maybe 30 seconds there, 30 to 45 seconds there. 30 seconds there, 30 seconds there. So we'll just call that, maybe that's 2.5 minutes. And so that would put us at two rounds if it was 5 minutes long. So we're going to say, instead of it being 5 minutes long, we're going to say 7 minutes, and we'll end us out there. So that puts us at 10 for the main section, 10, 18, 21, 26 minutes for the main section, which we could potentially make a little longer if we wanted to. We could say, so it's a 10, yeah, 10, 18, and then 23. So if I made that 7, that would be 20, 25, right? 25, and then that would be 9. That would be 8 minutes, and then 18 minutes, and then 27 minutes, and then and then we'll have a oops. Come on, you did it on the other ones. Let me put this back here. Ah, come on. All right. Well, we'll say rest 3 minutes at the end. Repeat 4, and then repeat 4, and then repeat 4. Now that makes that entire middle conditioning section 30 minutes long, even with the rest periods. And so the warm-up being a maximum of probably about 10 minutes, that gives us some leeway to have about 20 to 30 minutes in the low-intensity cardio section following that. I like KSKM because I am a Kyokushin karateka who turned kickboxing. Nice, cool, that's fantastic. Kyokushin guys are super tough, and I appreciate them because getting punched in the body repeatedly is nasty. But the style of karate in KSKM is a little bit more brutal. But I'm glad that you don't do that one, because first of all, I don't think it's real, and second of all, I feel like you would lose some teeth. All right, so let's see. So we've got the low intensity cardio section. What we're going to do is we're going to say choose one, and we'll have a list of activities that we can do. We can say, so we'll say jogging, swimming, and we could say potentially stair climbing, and let's see here, we could say also shadow boxing, and what else could we do? Something that you could do at a low intensity. And when I say low intensity, I mean, not getting your heart rate super high, still being able to have a conversation while doing it. And you can still do that while shadowboxing, but it's be very, very light shadowboxing. And so what we'll do for that period is we'll say, and this is going to be at your discretion, 20 to 30 minutes to finish. And that's going to be at your just whatever time you have. But the jogging, like I said, low intensity. You should still be able to have a full conversation the whole time, nice and easy. And then the swimming, well, you can't really gauge that on like conversation because you're in the water. But it's going to be something where your breathing is not overly labored. And then stair climbing, same thing. it's not like you're trying to run the stairs. It's just taking steps, taking steps, taking steps. And you know that because bodybuilders, that's one of their primary low intensity cardio exercises is climbing stairs. So definitely good choice on that. And then we got the shadow boxing for that time period. So to take a look at what we've got so far, this has actually been one of like the fastest sessions that we've done for building a workout. And that's partially because you guys haven't been talking a whole lot, but that's okay. So we've got the joint rotations to start off with, jumping jacks, walk out to a push-up, and then we've got Cossack squats, lunge rotation, and then we got 15 seconds of skipping to make sure that everything is nice and warmed up and ready for action. And then in the first circuit, we've got burpees, which is getting that heart rate up. That's what they're primary because we're doing just a little bit, just 5 of them, getting that heart rate up. And then the walking lunges to tax the legs a little bit. And then the sprint to drive the heart rate to a like very high level, and then 30 seconds of walk and recovery to get that heart rate back down before you start again with the 5 burpees, 10 walking lunges, and 15-second sprint. Now, the reason I have it saying repeat for 5 minutes rather than saying do this for a certain number of rounds is because when I say a certain number of rounds, you could take your time, and you're like, well, sometimes people that aren't in good shape will push themselves too far because I said do 5 rounds. Even if I said do 3 to 5 rounds, people are still going to be like, well, he said 5 rounds, so I'm going to do 5 rounds. But if I say 5-minute clock, here's the exercises, and you only get through 1 round, guess what? The clock is done. That means that your conditioning is not very good, but that's okay. You will get better at your conditioning over time. And then we have the 3-minute walking to get the heart rate back down for recovery purposes. And then we'll go into a 5 burpee pull-ups. So you've got really trying to get that heart rate up. And then we've included some pulling motions in there. Then we've got 10 dumbbell thrusters. So anybody who's ever done thrusters knows that that is a super high intensity weightlifting movement. And then we've got 15 jumping jacks just to try to keep the heart rate up. It's sort of like an active recovery in between those things because while it is sort of active and you can do it quickly, it's not a very difficult movement. And since that's the case, we're not going to have the walking recovery during that one. We're just going to have the jumping jacks. And so the heart rate's going to really build during that time period. And then we've got the 3 minutes to get the heart rate back down. And then we've got circuit number 3, which is the burpee broad jump, which is a very intense burpee variation. And then we've got 10 dumbbell clean and press. So we've got the dumbbells on the ground, clean them to the shoulder, and then press overhead. And then we've got the push-ups, which is just going to keep the heart rate elevated for a moment in between the clean and press and the sprint. As soon as you're done with the push-ups, you're getting that 30-second sprint, and then you've got a 30-second walking recovery to get ready for the next section of that third circuit. So you're the next round of that third circuit. And that's for 9 minutes to keep that heart rate elevated for even longer. And then we'll rest for 3 minutes, and then you're getting that heart rate back down, and then you're back into a lower intensity cardio for a longer period of time just to help build that energy system. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if you guys have any questions about the workout because normally I've had a lot more people helping build the programs, and I think maybe that's because it's like climbing and grip, handstand and pressing, leg training. It's very specific, but when I say conditioning, people are like, I don't know what that means. I don't know how to do any of that because energy systems and how to train them is sort of foreign to most people when they're thinking about working out. They understand kind of like these muscles do certain things. So I know if I lift weights in this certain fashion, or if I do a this exercise, it's going to work these muscle groups. But when you start talking about energy systems, people go, their eyes just sort of glaze over. And so I understand why it's been a little bit more quiet in this stream with the talking about the conditioning. But in the next session, what we're going to be doing is Yusuke's combat. So this time we did the conditioning workout. I did the wrong thing. That's black. And then the cover is red. And then next time we're going to do combat. And we'll also talk about the entire program all at once and what that would look like and how many days a week. Because there's 5 workouts. 3 of them are more muscular training. One of them is that conditioning workout. And then the combat training is going to be a combination of some conditioning stuff and technical work. So we're going to have to make some decisions about how frequently we would want to train, or whether or not that's something that you could start at a lower level and then add some things later as you go. So maybe you say, well, you're going to do, a conditioning workout once a week, the combat training once a week, and then you fill in some gaps with the other things. But like I said, we'll talk about that a little bit more the next time. So if you guys want to, you can be thinking about that, especially some of you guys who are martial artists coming into the combat training. That would be, if you want to be helpful in that time period, that's fantastic, especially if you want to go watch some of Yusuke's fights and see how he fights, which is really just sort of brawling. But that's okay. Not everybody has to be a super technical fighter. But that's all for today. We did Yusuke's conditioning workout. Thank you guys very much for hanging out with me and building this workout with me. It was a lot of fun. And we're one step closer to finishing Yusuke's training for the Dark Tournament. You helpful people, you. Thank you guys very much for checking out this stream. If you'd like to support the channel, you can always subscribe. You can become a YouTube member, which gets you some little snazzy little things that you can throw in the chat. If you go back, you can see Duffy's got some, and if Mario was here, he could see his. And then you can also become a patron, which comes with some training benefits, and it also comes with the ability to, depending on which tier you're on, the ability to request certain videos every month. So you can check those things out, and you can support the channel and also shape the channel with us by, adding to the creative flavor. Because I do like having you guys be a part of the creative process, because you're watching it. Why shouldn't you be? But anyway, thank you guys very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, guys, good luck and train hard.